What happens when a dynasty is promised, bought with unprecedented resources, only to melt down into a footnote of failure? Can $400 million in collective talent truly evaporate simply because the fundamental will to run died in the summer heat? Welcome back to 607 Core News, where we dissect the beautiful and the utterly devastating narratives of modern sports. If you've ever wondered what it looks like when a championship window doesn't just close, but shatters, leaving shards of regret across the entire 5 boroughs, then you're exactly where you need to be, because the 2025 New York Mets didn't just collapse, they invented a new taxonomy of institutional embarrassment. And the root of it all wasn't poor pitching or bad luck, but a terrifying lack of competitive character. We need to start with the man who was supposed to be the keystone of this era, Juan Soto. His struggles, particularly in early June, revealed a terrifying cultural complacency. When Aaron Judge hit that fly ball down the right field line, it carried an expected batting average of a microscopic .166. That ball should be an out, but instead, Soto, in what can only be described as a lackadaisical saunter, allowed it to drop for a ground rule double. This wasn't bad luck, this was a choice. And later, against Devin Williams, Soto grounded a weak ball up the middle. DJ LeMahieu, a Gold Glover, yes, fumbled the exchange after a sliding stop, yet Soto, even seeing the fumble, failed to activate the jets he had to try to reach, resulting in an easy out. We heard his camp claim the early rough patch was due to insanely bad luck and the dead ball phenomena. But luck doesn't cause a runner to give up on a play he could have easily beaten out. As veteran scout Tommy Ballgame sharply put it, the effort bar is not set by your $400 million contract, it's set by the guy running out a weak grounder. Soto failed that test twice in one game, and that mindset is a cancer.
Soto's excuse-making later in the season, blaming the field umpire for the bizarre double play when he was thrown out off first base following a Pete Alonso flyout, saying the umpire took way too long to make the decision, only underscores the issue. The onus is on the runner to be aware and look at the coach. Shifting the blame onto an external authority is the first sign of a poisoned culture.
But the embarrassment wasn't confined to the outfield. It became contagious throughout the infield, culminating in the single worst fundamental error of the year, Pete Alonso's throw home. In a critical tie game against the Yankees in the 8th inning, runners were on first and second. Rookie Jorbit Vivas worked an 11-pitch at-bat, grinding out a contact play to first. Alonso fielded the ball cleanly and then uncorked a throw to the plate reminiscent of a panicked little leaguer, nearly hitting his own runner in the process. It was arguably the worst throw to this base from a guy at his position I've personally ever seen, an error amplified by the fact that Alonso was pulled in tight on the infield, making it one of the lowest distance throws possible on a major league diamond. This single play was the catalyst for an epic collapse, immediately preceding the grand slam by Cody Bellinger that made the score 8-2. This isn't a talent issue. This is a high-pressure breakdown of routine mechanics, a mental error of the highest magnitude. And this breakdown metastasized into full-blown organizational humiliation during the infamous Pirates series. The Mets, who had been 45-24 just 2 weeks prior, holding a solid division lead, managed to achieve a level of struggle that was statistically singular in baseball history. They were not just beaten, they were fundamentally dominated by one of the worst offensive teams in the league. We must talk about the data point that defies logic. According to analysis by Greg Harvey, this Pirates series was the first time in MLB history that a team scored more than 30 runs, allowed 4 or fewer, and struck out 25-plus batters in a 3-game series. Think about that. Historically bad offense treated the Mets pitching staff like batting practice, while their own hitters were rendered completely inert. The humiliation peaked when, facing the Rangers, an opposing broadcast openly mocked the entire organization, inventing the verb Metsing after another bizarre thrown-away play that resulted in a free base. The broadcast crew's reaction was brutal but necessary. The Mets are Metsing, And as a coaching staff, it's tough to keep your composure right now. What are you going to do in October with an inning like that? The collapse had become so complete that it was fodder for opposing teams' comedy segments. Even Francisco Lindor, Mr. Smile, was seen slamming his mitt in the dugout after an error, demonstrating that the frustration had reached the supposed clubhouse leader. This brings us to the agonizing climax and the cruel twist of the dagger. Heading into the final stretch, the Mets were fighting for their lives, aware that if they won and the Reds lost, they'd sneak into October. The final game against the Marlins was a microcosm of the entire second half. Stranding runners in scoring position, catastrophic errors by players like Mark Vientos, and bullpen meltdowns that included a wild pitch from Clay Holmes, where the reliever bizarrely wouldn't see fit to cover home, allowing a run to score all the way from second, one of the rarest and most boneheaded plays in the game. But the true plot twist, the moment that confirmed the failure wasn't circumstantial but cultural, came in the ninth inning. With a final chance to rally, down by 4 and a man on, it fell to the top of the order, specifically Francisco Lindor, the $341 million face of the franchise. On the 0-1 pitch, he hit a hard ground ball to second base, tailor-made for a game-ending double play. And Lindor, the clubhouse leader, was not even running full speed through the bag. The season died on a lack of hustle, a final shameful echo of Soto's mistakes months earlier. A team that was 45-24 on June 12th, with a 5.5 game lead and the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball, proceeded to go 31-47, missing the playoffs entirely. The 2025 Mets season wasn't just a loss, it was a cultural autopsy broadcast live. We watched a team functionally dismantle itself piece by piece, proving that talent without tenacity is just an expensive tragedy. Do you think this Mets collapse was ultimately a failure of management or simply an epidemic of player accountability? Let us know in the comments below. If you want more passionate deep dives into the spectacular failures and triumphs of baseball, make sure you smash that like button, share this video with your fellow suffering fans, and subscribe to 607 Core News. We'll see you on the next pitch.